Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for round 4 of the 2022 Nations Cup Stage 2 taking place at Catalunya GP without the Chicane with the Group 3 cars. So let's go ahead and take a look at the race details. 12 lap race. It's a rolling start. Fuel is a ×4, tire ×5, and this is an open strategy race, meaning there are no mandatory pit stops, no mandatory tires. All tires are available. I will say this, there is going to be some tire and fuel saving required depending on the strategy that you're doing, and I'll talk a bit more about that later in the video. But first, let's go ahead and go on over to the lap guide. Be aware I recorded this in version 1.20. Bring yourself towards the left side of the track and you're looking for this black light that is on the left. Brake just before you pass it, so full braking power for a short while. Ease off of the brakes as you're turning in and carefully get on the throttle, taking advantage of the curbs. Lift off of throttle as you make this right turn. As you point towards this barrier, this orange barrier, that's when you want to start to fully commit and stay on the throttle. Bring yourself towards the left. Brake before you go under the bridge. Brake hard for a short while. Slowly ease off of the brakes as you're turning in, so doing a bit of trail braking, and exit on third gear for a bit more stability. And it's going to be a similar case with the next turn. So brake before the white wall on the left ends. Go down to second gear for rotation, and then exit on third gear for a bit more stability. Bring yourself towards the right side of the track. Brake just as the curb on the right starts. This turn is pretty tricky to do, so there's one turn you want to practice. It's this turn. Just being really careful on the throttle, taking advantage of the red and white curbs. And right as this curb ends, that's where you want to use a very small dab of braking. Try to take advantage of the curbs once again, trying to maintain as much momentum as possible. Then brake just before you reach the digital flag that is on the right, so this is just as the new sector starts. Going down to first gear for rotation, but exit on second gear. Then brake just as this right turn starts, just a little bit of trail braking, being really careful on the throttle. Little lift off of throttle for the second to last turn. Bring yourself towards the left and brake before the yellow curb ends. So little dab of braking, just trying to maintain your momentum, get on the throttle as soon as you can, and that is it for the lap guide. Yeah, this track is a bit of a tough one for me. But anyways, let's go on over towards the strategies for the race. So the car that I'll be using for the strategies is the Subaru BRZ, as it was in the top 10 leaderboards for quite a while. And this car is really good on the tires because tire wear and fuel are an issue. And you just need to do a little bit of short shifting here and there, and you should be good when it comes to fuel. So not too much fuel saving needed for this race. Now for the tire strategies, it's going to come down to the following. Do a 0 stop on the racing hard tires, do 2 6-lap stints on the racing soft tires, or do a 0 stop on the racing medium tires. And it's going to be pretty close between the first two strategies, so the 0 stop on the hard tires and the 1 stop with the soft tires. So those two, they're pretty close, but there are some clear advantages and disadvantages with both strategies. So we're looking at the 0 stop with the racing hard tires right now. The best thing about this strategy is that you avoid the really long pit loss. The pit loss for this track being 29 seconds. So you're always going to be on the move. However, there are a couple of disadvantages with the 0 stop on the hard tires. The first one being, well, you're on the hard tires, so they're the slowest tire compound, and depending on where you are on the track, if you get caught up by a one stopper, then you're going to be a bit of a sitting duck. And then this is going to be a bit more of a personal thing. This car doesn't really feel that great on the racing hard tires. For me, it felt like it wanted to understeer on some parts of the track, and then it wanted to oversteer other parts of the track. It may be a bit of a different story for you. You might like how this car is on the racing hard tires, but for me, it certainly did not feel that great. And at the end of this run, the 0 stop on the racing hard tires, I was able to get a 20 minutes and 24 second run. So this is actually my fastest run compared to the 1 stop on the soft tires and the 0 stop on the medium tires. And I'm going to say that this is the safest strategy out of the 3, because the other ones do deal with more tire wear. With this one, you deal with a bit less tire wear, but you're going slower than the other strategies. And while this run was about 2 seconds faster than the 1 stop, I wouldn't put the 1 stop out of the question just yet, because there could be a situation where the 1 stop is going to actually work out, but that's going to be situational depending on what happens in your race. Now with the 1 stop, you want to do 2 6-lap stints on the racing soft tires, so you're going to be going pretty fast. However, you have to deal with a 29-second pit loss, and depending on the car that you're in and how you're driving especially, you face the risk of a tire puncture. And that's what's going to happen if you completely wear out one of your tires. And if you get a tire puncture, yeah, you're going to be in a world of trouble, because with a tire puncture, your car becomes a lot more difficult to drive. If it's the rear tires that wear out, then yeah, good luck. So you will need to do a bit of tire saving if you're doing the 1 stop on the soft tires, so you don't want to drive way too harsh, and you also want to be on a car that is pretty good on the tires. Like the Subaru BRZ, this car is pretty good on the tires. If you're in the other cars, so like the Porsche 911 RSR, you want to be even more careful about how you drive, because those cars, I think the Porsche faces a higher risk of getting a rear tire puncture, and if that happens to you, you're going to be spinning around for days, and you're probably going to end up rage quitting the race. With the BRZ, it's the front left tire that has the highest risk of getting the tire puncture. So if the front tires get the puncture or just too much tire wear, then you're going to get a ton of understeer. While the car is still kind of controllable, the understeer is going to slow your pace down way too much. You also want to avoid the dirty air, so don't stay behind others for too long, because that will speed up your tire wear, which can, well, lead to a tire puncture. But anyways, at the end of lap 6, I was really close to having that happen to me, as the front left tire is basically dead. So I got into the pit stop just in time, just before the tire puncture and all hell broke loose. So gonna go ahead and get a new set of racing soft tires. Pit loss here being 29 seconds. Try not to refuel. Try to do a bit of fuel saving, so doing a bit of short shifting here and there, so you don't have to refuel at all. And make sure when you exit the pit stop, stay in between the white lines so you don't pick up a 3-second penalty for crossing the pit lines. And because of how bad the tire wear is on the soft tires, you want to try to pit at the end of lap 6, so you're trying to get 2 even stints. And towards the end of the run, I actually was going a bit faster because I had less fuel, and because I have less fuel, the soft tires will last a little bit longer. I still suggest doing a little bit of tire saving, so being a bit easier on the brakes at times, not being way too harsh with your steering inputs if possible, and just being a bit easier on the throttle to try to make your tires last just a little bit longer, because once again, the last thing you want is a tire puncture. And at the end of this run, a 1 stop with the soft tires, I was slightly slower than the 0 stop on the hard tires, so this run was a 20 minutes and 26 seconds, so about 2 seconds slower. I think the game will say 20:27, but I'm taking off half a second because I had a bit of a oopsie moment somewhere in the run. But again, this run is pretty close to the 0 stop. It can work, but you have to be really darn careful, and you kind of have to hope that things do work out for you. So if zero stoppers start to fight to the death and you're able to kind of just mind your own business, then it might work out for you. But you also have the tire wear issues, so you have to really keep an eye on those tires and make sure that they last the entire stint. So you will need to think about what strategy you want to do, because one is a safer strategy, the zero stop on the hard tires, and then the one stop is a bit risky due to the pit loss and the risk of the tire puncture. And then there is the racing medium tires. So this one's really weird, because some people have been able to do a zero stop on the racing medium tires and actually get pretty fast times with it. But that is for the aliens. Us mere mortals, we probably cannot make the zero stop mediums work without either getting a tire puncture or just being too plain slow. For me, I'm just too plain slow, because in this run I was actually able to get the zero stop to work, but again I was just too slow. And this strategy is incredibly difficult to do, because you need to be doing a heck of a lot of tire saving. You need to keep your pace up, and you basically cannot mess up. If you start to mess up, your entire run is pretty much in jeopardy. If you mess up a little bit more, or if you make a severe mistake, your run is done. You're pretty much finished. And just look at the tire wear on those left tires. You have to be doing a heck of a lot of tire saving and just trying to find that right pace to make it work. For those in the higher splits, so we're talking like A+ splits, there's probably going to be someone that's going to try to make this one work, and it's either going to actually work out for them or it's going to backfire on them. For the rest of us who, well, for us mere mortals, as I said earlier, this strategy is pretty much not going to work for us. I just want to put that out there, because some people have mentioned to me about the zero stop on the medium tires, so I just want to touch upon that topic. And this run was actually slow for me. This one was as slow as the one stop. So for me, yeah, the zero stop mediums is definitely not going to work. Chances are it's probably not going to work for you as well, but don't feel bad about it, because this strategy is pure torture. But at the end of the day, for the most of us, it's either going to come down to the zero stop on the racing hard tires or take a risk with the one stop on the racing soft tires. Both have their advantages and disadvantages, so you want to carefully consider each option before you start your race. As for the cars, I only had time to use the Subaru BRZ. This is a great handling car, and it's really good on the tires, so it is possible to make the one stop work a bit easier than other cars. But this car has zero power, so even when the race starts, if there's someone behind you that is not in the BRZ, so for example the Porsche 911 RSR or McLaren 650S, yeah, they're going to pass you before the first turn. So that's something that you want to be very aware of if you're using this car. It has zero power, but it has all the handling in the world, and it's also pretty good on the tires. And then there's the Porsche 911 RSR, which is actually a really good car for daily race C, which is pretty much this exact combination. That one has a bit more speed, but it has a bit less handling, so that's something else that you want to be aware of. But hey, if you start behind a Subaru BRZ, then you can pretty much pass them before the first turn on the first lap, so you'll get a free spot right there. But anyways, that is going to be it for this guide. Hopefully this guide helps you out a bit, and if you like this video, you can press the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I do have a membership program thing which you can check out down below if you want to further support the channel. And my goodness, it's been a long week, so apologies for bringing these videos out so late, as there's been quite a few things going on, so I haven't had that much time to record and edit these things. And yeah, that's going to be it for me. I'm going to go ahead and shut up now. So this is Mr. MCA. Have a good race, have a good week, and I'll see you in the next video.